team. And if you load that team with some of your friends, you're going to go there with your friends and family. And so it can be a great thing because the company is going to pick up the tab for that. And some of these trips are once-in-a-lifetime trips. And those of you that have been on these success trips understand that the company treats you like a king and a queen. They do things for you on those trips that you wouldn't do for yourself. I mean, I can take trips on my own, but I grew up in a household. It was a very low-income household, and so it's still ingrained in me that I don't just spend money frivolously. You know, I wouldn't get the biggest cabin on the ship, or I wouldn't go, splurge on myself for this thing or that thing. But the company will spoil you. They will do that for you. And so you get this experience that you probably wouldn't, do for yourself. And so these success trips, the cycles of business, you can almost predict how you can lay this out and kind of map your success out. Qualify, get on that trip, get as many people qualified to get on that trip. And you add to that the fact that we're going to be launching the Age Lock Me product in January. You want to get positioned for that. And so you do everything you can along with these business cycles to get positioned to take advantage of that aspect. So it's almost like you can map out your life. We didn't have that process back when I started the business. People just said, sign up, work like crazy, go be a blue diamond. That's what they said. And so you just tried to go, and sometimes the path to get there was a little more difficult to understand. Today it's pretty clear to understand. All you got to do is apply it and do it. We're going to 10 billion. If it doesn't happen by 2020, it'll happen sometime thereabouts. The truth of the matter is we're going to grow by billions. And as we grow by billions, that's going to change the lives of a lot of people. And so you need to understand, is your future with Nu Skin better with it or without it? Because whether you engage or not, Nu Skin's going to 10 billion. You are not the causal factor to take them to 10 billion. It will happen with or without you. The writing's on the wall. The die is cast. Okay, the information's out there. The me story is starting to go around everywhere. And people are starting to respond. And they're starting to come on board with us. And we're seeing things grow. And so with that in mind, you have to make a decision because whether you do this or not, Nu Skin will never leave your life. Trust me. I've seen people that are haunted by the Nu Skin ghost. I saw people that came into the business when I did, or people that I talked to about getting into the business when I did, that didn't do it. And they just figured, oh, well, that company will probably be here, 5 years from now. Well, here we are 30 years and still going strong, and they don't know what to say. And they see what's happened to the lives of some of us that made a commitment and saw it through, as they're still living paycheck to paycheck, and they're still just barely getting by, if that at all. People's lives don't change much. They're still going to live hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck. That's the way it's designed out there. Okay, and so you need to understand that this business is now, and you need to take advantage of it. And what that means is that you've got to make a decision. And this isn't a decision that you just do haphazardly. This is a decision that you make a sincere commitment, okay? Unconditional perseverance. And what that simply means is this: you are going to stay on task with this business until you achieve what it is you came here to achieve. You're going to stay on task until you get out of this what you came to get out of this. You're not going to quit along the way. You're not going to let life's trials take you out of it. You're not going to let the disappointments that occur in the business eliminate you from the process. You see, nobody's ever fired from Nu Skin. They're not. They self-eliminate. They quit. Okay, I've never really had someone call me up and say, hey, Jeff, I'm a loser. I can't cut it. I'm going to quit. They usually say something like, you know what? I've been working really hard at this, but I really have a lot of things going at my job that's really demanding more of my time than I thought. I've got to spend a lot more time over there. But hey, I really love the products, and I'm going to use those, and I'll get this thing going, I promise. Like they're trying to explain to me as their boss, what it's about. They're screwed up. I'm not their boss. This is their dream, not mine. They sold out on their dream, and they're trying to convince me that they didn't. Anything that stops your progress eliminates you. All right? You have to fight through that unconditionally to get where you need to be. So we talked earlier about your why. okay? I have found that you have to have something in your gut, in your heart, that will keep you moving through the disappointments. It'll keep you on task when life treats you harshly. Because I promise you this, you and I don't know what cards we're dealt in life. We do not know. And as those play out, you can use those disappointments as reasons to give up on this dream. You can use those disappointments as reasons to crawl back into your shell and just stay there. Okay? To kind of crawl back in where it's safe. Where it's really not. Okay, and so my point is this. You have to do whatever is necessary to get through that. Find something that will motivate you. My aspect when people say, hey, what should I use as my motivation? Well, what would you guys do? What do you love? What do you love in this world? What would you give your life for? Make that your why. Because if you do that, trust me, when the going gets tough, you won't quit. Because the going is going to get tough. I've never seen this easy for anyone. Yeah, there's some people that go from 0 to team elite in 6 months, and you just hate those guys. You know? You hate them. Because it's like, what a freak. Really? I hate you. You make my life miserable. Yeah, every now and then you get a freak like that. Okay, but there's always a story behind the freak. At some point, a price is paid. Trust me. In all cases. Okay? And so, establish that why. And that why will keep you ahead of the game. It'll keep you focused on the task. And if you'll do that, I promise you, you won't give up. Okay? Because to do so, if you're willing to die for that why would you ever quit? All right? No one's going to show you the door here. You'll show yourself the door. So, set some goals. Now, throughout my life prior to getting involved in New Skin, I kind of had some goals. If I wanted to do something, I'm like, I'm going to do that. And I'd maybe, write a few things down here or there. Or maybe I'd try to remember what my goal was and why I was doing it. Okay, what I did here, I left nothing to chance. Because I heard someone tell me once that if you don't write it down, it doesn't embed in your brain and it won't come to fruition. So I wrote some things down. Or I remember when I came into the business, people were making about $50,000 a month at the time. And I saw that, and I'd never made that kind of money before in my life. I was pretty much just like everybody else, working to pay a house payment, working to pay the car payment. And it seemed like I just kept working, and at the end of the month, all I had was the house and the cars and some stuff, and I never had any money. You guys, can you relate to that? That's how it was. I was on this treadmill. And I thought, you know what? I kind of want to break free of that. And the truth is, in that environment, you start to make a little more money. You buy a nicer house, a nicer car. You take more vacations. You just keep spending, right? And that's kind of what we did. And so when the time came along with this, I looked at that and I saw the income being made, and I said, okay, I'm going to commit. I want to make $20,000 a month. And I want to be a blue diamond within 1 year. And I wrote those goals down. I stuck it on the fridge where I go there every day to eat. I put it on the mirror in the bathroom where I shave. I used to sit at the desk. This was before cell phones, okay? If you could even imagine that. And so you had a landline, and I was at a desk, and right there on the drawer, I had these goals. Now this is interesting because, as I said to you before, I was married once before. I'd gotten divorced a few years before I got involved with New Skin. Liz, my wife, had been married before, and so, here we are, married to each other. She comes from a family of 10 brothers and sisters. How many of you guys have big families like that? Let's see your hand. Okay. You'll understand this dynamic I'm going to describe to you. What this family does for fun when they get together is they talk about the person who's not there. All right? They make fun of the person who's not there. Have you guys done this? I think you have. Okay? And so Liz and I are married, and they don't know me really, and they're checking me out. They're wondering if I'm some kind of tool, some kind of weirdo, and they come here and they see on the fridge this goal, $20,000 a month, blue diamond. I have the date, and then they see it, visible, because I needed to see it visible. And I was talking to people all the way too as I was recruiting them, telling them what my goals were. They needed to jump on board. They could change their life. They needed to come with me. that we're going to go out there and shake things up. We're going to go out there and just create a rebellion, and we're going to go out there and build this organization. And they needed to come with me. Okay, so I was out there. Sometimes people say, you know what? That's a little bit scary, because if you tell people your dreams, if you tell people your goals, and you don't make them, then you look like the fool. Well, my answer to that is this. If you're not far enough out on the limb, you're not living your life. If you're living your life with what other people think, then you're afraid of what to do. You want to be in that little zone where nothing good or nothing bad ever happens to you. And you know what I say to that? The worst thing in this life is not failure. It's regret. At the end of your life, if you look back on it and you regret your life, that has got to be a dark day. So I'm not afraid of failure. You shouldn't be either. That just means you're trying to move forward. That just means you're trying to break out of where you're at. So I didn't care. I just went forward. But they would come over and they would see this, and they'd be thinking, who does he think he is? $20,000 a month? Blue Diamond? What is this? I found out later they were laughing behind my back. Sometimes the people closest to you will do that. They don't laugh anymore. Okay? And family events happen. Whose house do you think they come to? You know, whose stuff do you think they want to utilize? My point is simply this. If you see a dream and you internalize it, put your blinders on. Forget everybody else. You move forward, because that dream will become a reality if you believe it will. All right? And so, full throttle 18, I came into the business, and I know there's only one gear. Now, some people pace themselves. I've never seen anyone pace themselves that made it to the top. You got to open the throttle. When I came into the business, I was part-time. Talked with Liz. I said, look, if I decided to do this full-time, could we live off what you make? And we calculated that we could probably live for 6 months without any income based off of our savings. That was our calculated risk. So the first month I said to Craig Tillits, my upline, I said, just help me get out of the gate. I think if you do that, I can get my confidence up, and I think I can do this. And so part-time, the first month, we sponsored 18 people. Okay, now we talked a lot more than 18 to sponsor 18. Out of the 18, there were 6 that wanted to become executives. I focused on those 6, as I said the other night, last night. We just started to drive lines with those guys. And as they came on board, I just said, hey, I'm coming to your house next Thursday. I want 10 last names there. Okay? Get them there. I'll make the presentation. We'll knock them down. We'll get them in the business, and we'll start the ball rolling for you. And that's what we did. And so we went and did a meeting, and I find someone in that meeting that the eyes were bright. They could see it. And I sponsored them into the business, and then would set it in home at their home. And would be there in a few days. And they had 10 last names coming. And I'd take the person that hosted the meeting we had with me, and they might do a point or two in the presentation. I'd do most of it. And after we did that several times, they might be doing the whole presentation. Because at some point, you got to hand the baton off to them. Okay, it's a learn-on-the-job thing. Don't read any manual. Don't wait to watch a video. Don't sit there and wait for someone to teach you anything. Just go. That's what you do. You just go. And you'll learn on the job. And that's what we did. And it was meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. And as that started to take place, what I noticed in the process was people started to step up. And I didn't just sit there with the 18 we sponsored that month. Okay, I focused on the 6. The next month I sponsored 5 more. And the next month 5 more. And the next month 5 more. And the first 12 to 18 months that I was in this business, I sponsored more people first level than I have ever sponsored in the business since. Let me repeat that for you. In the first 12 to 18 months, I sponsored more people first level than I have ever sponsored since I've been in the business since that time. So what does that tell you? That tells you you have to strike while the iron is hot. You have to open the throttle, because what that did is it set a pace for my people where they could see I meant what I was saying. I was going to the top, and they should too. And I led by example. I didn't flog them. I didn't tell them what to do. I told them this is the direction we're going, just follow the leader. And that's what we did. And for 2 years, I couldn't tell you what was on TV. I couldn't tell you what was going on in the world. I know the United States was in a war in the Middle East sometime during that time frame. Who cares? Guess what? They're still in a war someplace. You know what? They're not going to pay my bills. The government's not going to take care of me. The only one that's going to take care of me is me. All right? And so I adhered to business. I took advantage of what I needed to do, and I made it happen. And others followed. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is this. I had so many people that I had to work with, I could not get to all of them. Now, you might say that's a problem. To me, that's a blessing. Because what it did is it gave me the ability to where I was so busy. The only people I could help were the ones that were getting serious, were the ones that were working, were the ones that were calling me and saying, Jeff, I got someone we need to talk to. Jeff, can we go meet someone for lunch? I got 3 people we need to see. Hey, Jeff, can you do an in-home at my house on Thursday night? I need your help. I need your support. I didn't sit there and cry with someone. I didn't sit there and find out why they can't do it. I didn't sit there and find out, why this was too hard for them and they're thinking of quitting. I would just go. If they wanted to come, they went. And that set the pace. That's what you need to do. People will step up. They will grab the reins if they need to, if their why is strong enough. If it isn't, you can't make it strong for them. If their why is not strong enough, I don't care how long you talk to them. I don't care how long you hold their hand. I don't care how long you listen to their problems. I don't care how many tears they cry on your shoulder. Until they decide that they want this worse than you want it for them, it will never happen for them. So get that in your brain now, and you will go to the top. I promise you. And you will strengthen your people in the process. That's what we did. And so you have to have this attitude. You don't have time for negative. Just didn't have time for it. If somebody wanted to commiserate and cry over something, it's whatever. Hey, we got stuff going on. Sponsoring solves all problems. Remember that. Whenever you run into a roadblock in this business, sponsoring solves all problems. I promise you. Whatever problem you have, go sponsor more people, and that problem doesn't seem that big anymore. And it'll be the same for your people as well. Control your posture. We talked about this last night. It isn't what you say, it's how you say it. Okay, when I talk about posture, and I think Lee kind of addressed this a little bit too. It's, you think of posture, you think about standing up straight, having your shoulders back, your chest out, your head high. It's similar to that. If I'm on the phone and we're talking, let's say I'm talking to Leaf here. Okay, and if you can master this, you guys, you'll see your business take off. Because whoever controls the flow controls the outcome. So if this is me and this is Leaf, and I'm calling Leaf, and let's say we went to high school together, and maybe seen him a couple times since high school, I might give him a call and say, hey Leaf, this is Jeff. It's been a long time. I'd like to find out how you've been doing in life, but I got to be honest with you, the reason I'm calling you is because of business. Right there, go to the point right there. Okay, I told him we want to talk later, but let's talk about business right now. And Leaf, here's me, here's Leaf. And Lee, it was interesting because when I thought about giving you a call, I almost didn't give you a call. Because as I thought about it, this might not be for you. But after I thought that through, I figured, you know what? You owe it to yourself to see what's going on. Okay? Can we get together? Okay, so right there, if I'm leaning and he's leaning towards me, I don't tell him everything. I tell him enough to get him to meet with me, or to see something, or to maybe watch something, or whatever it is. It could be something online, it could be meeting for lunch, it could be coming to a presentation. I don't care what your next method is. You're trying to expose the business to me, right? Because the bottom line, all we're doing is exposing and closing. Exposing and closing, right? And so that's where I'm at. Now, if this is where I'm at, if Leaf's leaning forward, he'll say something like, so what's up? Let's get together. Or if he starts asking me questions like, well, tell me now, I don't have time to meet. Okay, now, don't get caught in that trap. This is what most people do in that situation. They start telling everything. Okay, here's a trick I want you to play in your mind. When you're on that phone, and you tell them what I just told you to say, you get here, and they say, hey, well, tell me more about it. What I want you to do is every time you hear that, add on to it, so I don't have to look at your stupid presentation. Okay? When you hear them say, tell me more about it, what you hear on the back end is, so I don't have to listen to your stupid presentation. Because that's what they're saying. So don't go there. Simply say, hey, look, Lee, I'd love to tell you everything about it, but it's going to take more than just a quick phone call. It wouldn't do it the justice it needs. We need to probably meet, but you need to look at this. Do that first and then we'll talk. And if he starts to give me more grief, I'll say, hey, you know what? I kind of thought that it might not be for you. Like I said earlier, that's why I almost didn't call you. Why don't I just give you a call another time? I'll just keep you posted on what's going on. Boom, we get off the phone. You maintain control. You control the flow. Now, if Leaf's a prospect, he'll start asking a few questions. Okay, we'll leave the guess. Okay? So you take it away before you give it to him. You keep your posture. You don't give him all the information. If you start trying to pitch this on the phone, you will lose every time. Almost every time. All right? So, control your posture. Project your confidence. You have the good. Expect challenge. When challenge comes, you need to expect that it's going to be there. Like I said earlier, make pain your friend. Make challenge your friend. These things will occur. You do not control them. You do not control the cards you dealt. You do not control what's thrown in front of you. All you can do is control how you respond to it. So expect it. Use it as your friend. Gain strength from it. All right? No time for management. People get caught up in this all the time. There's several people in the business, even here in Columbia, that the last few years have been caught up in trying to manage their group. They get a team, maybe they're somewhere around, Lapis, Ruby, maybe Emerald, right in that range. And rather than continue to sponsor like I just described I did, they get locked into just maybe working with that group, working with that little group, talking to that group. First of all, I didn't understand when they tell me that, what that means. Working with them, what does that mean? Talking on the phone about what? What? Your kids? What you're going to go do for lunch? What you did last night for dinner? What? If you're not talking to new prospects, you're not doing the business. So when you start to manage, what you're really doing is telling yourself, I would rather do anything than pick up the phone and call a new prospect because it's too hard. I'd rather just talk to my friends on my team. But when you don't realize your team watches you, and they know when you're not in the game. And so they think it's okay not to be in the game. And all of a sudden, the group is a reflection of you. And you wonder why they're not moving. And you wonder why they're not working. Well, it's because you're not. All right? So don't do it. The company manages the group. That's what they're for. That's what the employees are there for. They're there to work for you. They're the ones that ship the product, they pay the checks, they handle all the problems. Our job is to go out there and really do what we do. So you got to inoculate your people to the negative. You got to persevere through adversity. And you got to realize that success will always follow challenge. There is not going to be challenge in your life forever where you just sit there and suffer and suffer and suffer until you leave this earth. At some point, you'll get strong enough to withstand it, or it'll leave, and you'll be back on track stronger than before it occurred. Okay? If you look at it in the right mindset. And so you got to understand that. You don't sit around. Don't be a hen. What I mean by this is just simply the fact that there's people on our list that we think in our minds they're going to be so good at this. And I've had these calls over the years where somebody will call me up and they say, hey, Jeff, I got this guy. And if we get this guy, we're going to be rich. Because this guy is good. Great. Let me know when you get the guy. We'll talk to the guy. So they'll go away. 2 weeks later, hey, Jeff, my guy, when we get my guy, he's going to make us so much money. So they sit there this whole time waiting for this person who's putting them off, who's telling them they don't have time, who's telling them, oh, hey, let's meet next week, or let's meet in 2 weeks. And meanwhile, they're waiting and they're waiting. It's like they're sitting on an egg trying to hatch it. You know what? There is so much out there. There's so many people that want to do this. There's so many people that just want to hear our story, but they haven't heard it yet. And you're wasting time with some person that'll probably never do it anyway. I learned this lesson early on when I had a person I was working hard on. And I remember Craig Tillotson. I said, Craig, this guy, I think if we can nail this guy, it's going to be great. He says, Jeff, it doesn't matter. And I got irritated because I'm thinking, wait a minute. You're making $50,000 a month. I'm broke. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Of course it matters. He says, Jeff, it doesn't matter. No one will make or break your success in this business. You're the only one that can do that. I learned really quick. Okay? If you depend on people to take you to where you need to go, you will never get there. because they will let you down. The only person you can count on is your intestinal fortitude, what it's about, and hope that you inspire people enough for them to overcome their setbacks. And when that happens, you got something. All right? And so you just move forward. You do what you need to do. You don't sit there and wait. You know, it's interesting. I kind of told this story to a small group yesterday, but these are guys in my group over in Southeast Asia. And this story is powerful because I remember when the Southeast Asian bubble burst, and we'd just been in Thailand probably about 6 months. And my group had already dominated most of the market because we ended up with 30,000 distributors in my group in 1 month as Thailand opened. And we were the guys, all right? The economy crashed, and everyone was running for the door. And almost everybody left Nu Skin. And there were people jumping ship into other companies thinking that was going to be the answer, which, by the way, it never is. Okay, a lot of those people are now gone. We don't know where they're at. They're on the street somewhere looking for something. You know, the point I'm making is simply this. They ran thinking they could get people to follow them. I got a phone call from these two people, John and Nim, and they said, hey, our upline's threatening to destroy us if we don't leave and go to another company with her. And this lady's a pretty sharp talker. She's weak at heart, but she's strong with the mouth. You know, she says what she needs to say. And so I flew over there and I sat down with these guys. I looked them in the eyes. They're about 24, 25 years old, but they're Asian. They look like they're about 15. They look like little kids. And I just said to them, you know what, you guys? Everyone sees disaster right now. I see opportunity. What I see here is everyone's running for cover. And in that run for cover and that panic is an opportunity to make money. It's an opportunity to grab the mantle of leadership. It's an opportunity to own this market. Someone will do it. It might as well be you. But I can't do it for you. I don't live here. I don't speak the language. I don't know your culture. All I do know is heart when I see it. So I'm going to jump on the plane. If you need to talk to me, need to get some feedback, do that. But it's going to be on you. And I left. These guys today are closing in on $20 million in commission. Okay? They're some of the highest paid people in all of Southeast Asia. And there's no two people I've ever seen in this business that are better than these guys on the stage. They are sharp. I mean, I sat in a room one time where John, the guy up there in the middle, was speaking to a crowd of like 4,000 people in Thailand, and I don't even speak the language. And he almost had me crying as he was talking because I could feel his heart. I could feel his energy, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. He's as good as they get. They were born in a troubled time. They rose up out of the ashes of something that was disaster as their leader ran for cover. What are you going to do? It can make or break you. You decide what it's going to be. Growth can be painful. You got to welcome it. All right? You're responsible for your own success or failure. Nobody else. Not your downline, not your upline. Sometimes I hear complaints like this. It's, my upline won't call me back. What does that mean? You're so weak, you have to have them call you back and take action? Really? You can't take action unless your upline calls you back. Wow. It makes no sense. Your upline owes you nothing. If they sponsor you in the business, that's it. It's like a parent. Parent brings you into this world. Every one of them does the best job they can, but sometimes we don't think they did a good enough job. Or they failed at this, or they did that, and we harbor these things our entire life. I see people harboring these kinds of things with their upline in this business. Who cares? Your life is your own. What you make of it is up to you. Doesn't matter if you had a bad parent. Doesn't matter if you had a bad upline. So what? People are dealing with their own issues. Don't make their issues yours. Move forward. Conquer your demons. Do what you need to do. All right? And that's what has to happen. All excuses are created equal. Do you guys believe this? They are. And I got news for you. Your excuses aren't any bigger than the next person's. Now, I know you think they are. Hey, and I'll be the first to admit, there's some pretty hellacious things that happen to people. Stuff that you just can't believe. But you decide how it affects you. You decide how you want your life to be. Right? Anything that stifles your growth is an impediment to the business. Don't let it do that. Gain strength from opposition. Someone pushes on you, you push back. You know, pressure's there, grow from it. Step outside yourself. Go beyond what you're capable of. Because you've got a lot more inside than you're given. Trust me. I've got more inside than I'm given. We're all like that. Our potential is immeasurable. The power of the human spirit is immeasurable. You can't put a cap on it. I've seen miracles happen in this world because of someone's heart. Explain that one to me. You're more powerful than you know. Build an oak tree is what this last topic says. And it's like, what does that mean? I talked about this a little bit earlier. There's only two ways to do this business. You can lead with the product, you can lead with the opportunity. You choose how you want to do it. Leading with the product is going to be a little bit slower. Okay? Leading with the opportunity, you know, as you do that, you're going to get out there and paint a vision for people. Like I said earlier, before lunch. The bottom line is you need to look at the business like an oak tree. And what I mean by that is this. If you've ever seen an oak tree, you can't knock the thing down. The root system is huge. You know, huge. And the trunk is massive. That would represent the leadership that you have in your team. That would represent your higher pin levels, or maybe your blue diamonds underneath you. The branches of the tree might represent some of your executives, maybe some of the weaker executives. The leaves would represent end users that aren't distributors. Okay? Now here's the problem. Sometimes people come in and they say, who sells this stuff? So they focus on the leaves of the tree. They focus on selling a product to a leaf on the tree, trying to get a customer. Problem is, that leaf on the tree has other options available to them to buy product or spend money on. And their loyalty to the product sometimes wanes. They're off doing something else. And the interesting thing is, it takes as much energy for me to sit down and explain the products to people as it does to sit down and give them an opportunity presentation. True? True? To sit down with somebody, it takes about an hour to explain the business. It's about the same time frame, they just talk product. The difference is the potential outcome of the conversation. In one, I might get $1,200 out of their pocket. In the other, I might just sell them a hand lotion. Same work, same energy. You do that enough times for no pay, you know what happens? You quit. And if you teach that to your team and they do that for no pay, you know what happens? They whine and complain. And you spend all your time trying to help them, you think. All you're doing is making it worse. Remember this. This is what I learned from Clara McDermott. Some of you know Clara, some of you never met her. She's the only person Nu Skin has ever sponsored. What Clara said to me early on is this. She said, Jeff, you're strong. Never support your strength to weakness. Only support your strength to strength. She said, because I promise you, and this is true in anything, support strength to weakness, you get more what? Weakness. Put strength on strength, it breeds more strength. No matter how you position it, no matter, you know, how sorry you feel for people, strength on weakness breeds more weakness. And so that's what I did. Okay, and so that's what you should do. Focus your energy where it's going to give you the best return and elevate people. People will step up. You know, it's interesting. Every Blue Diamond and team lead in this company makes all their money off of 1, 2, or 3 organizations. 1, 2, or 3 legs. They have to have 12 or 15 to get paid, right? But 1, 2, or 3 legs gets all their money. So what does that tell you? It tells you you might need to go through some people. It comes back to that thing I talked about earlier. You know, the early adopter and the risk taker. That's 16% of the population. Those are the shakers and movers in the world. The early majority, late majority, and traditionalists are 80% of the world. And those people don't really move until they feel completely safe. And they're really the sweet spot that just sits there. But that 16% are the ones that make the difference. Find them. Be one. Those are the ones that get paid the big money. Now, There's all kinds of income levels here. You finally say, yeah, not at 80%. Man, I've seen people that never even become blue diamonds that have supported their families and had a quality life with our business. You know, maybe they got to $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month, and that's all they ever made in our business, and they never even became a blue diamond. But they have freedom. You decide where you're going to be. As you do this, and you focus on the roots and the trunk of the tree will never die. That'll be your leaders. They're your best consumers. And they go out and talk about it to people because they're motivated by the business. The leaves on the trees will come and go. You can't control it. Okay? And so focus on what makes your business viable. Now, all of this stuff being said, let's get down to really what's going to make the difference. What you perceive as your strongest motivation will be the key. And what you and I need to understand is you don't have all day. You do not know how much time you have left on this earth. I know you think you do. I know you think you got all the time in the world, and I know you think in your mind you got this all planned out. You're going to do this, and hey, when I'm 70, I'll do this. When I'm 60, I'll do that. You know, when I'm 80, this is where I'm going to be. Or when I'm 50, I'm going to do this. And that's good. And you should do that. But you don't control the card game. You don't control the chessboard. You only control your response to the moves that are made in the game. Does that make sense? So, you know, I look at this. It comes down to the freedom to be whatever you want. Whatever that means to you, whatever be means to you, this gives you the freedom to do that. This gives you the freedom to really support that passion, that why that we're talking about. And for some people, it's a significant other. For others, maybe it's a cause. For most of us, it's our family. For me, it's my family. Okay? It's my children. It's my grandchildren. It's the things that last. All right? Those are the things that motivate me. And it's interesting because when I think about my children, it doesn't matter how old they would ever get. That's the picture I have in my mind, right there. When I close my eyes, that's what I see. Now, this was a long time ago. But that's what I see. What do you see in your mind, sir? I'd do anything, right? Including go through some pain. Including jump on a plane and fly to a country I don't speak the language. Including, you know, go all over the world and try to make my business work. Including be told no multiple times. Maybe even told that I'm a loser. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe even told that I should be better than this. You'll get that too. Oh, you should be better than this. Really? Network marketing deal? What a slime ball. You're doing that? You kidding me? You're better than that, Jeff. You know? You can do something better than that. You know, it's funny, I saw Craig Tillotson, my upline. How you know he handled that? He'd bump into someone that would throw that line at him. And his response back, you know what, I feel sorry for you. Because you're the one that's going to suffer through life, or I'm going to live it the way I want. You're the one that I feel sorry for. What's your perspective? This is my son Eric with his mama. That picture, I guess, it's not the best picture. Kind of looks almost like negative, but anyway, that little blonde-haired boy you saw in the picture that I'm reading the book to, that's him. Grown up to be a pretty good-looking kid, okay? And he loves his mom. I mean, don't tread on his mom. I remember one time we were walking through a store, and Liz is cute, you know, she's got it going on. And we walked through the store, and I get used to it. I don't even, you know, it doesn't bug me, right? We're walking through the store, and I'm here, Liz is here, Eric's right there, and we walk by this guy, and this guy walks by, and he's like, just like that, right? We're walking away, and Eric's like, hey, Dad, did you see that? Did you see that guy? I'm like, Eric, settle down. Well, we got to go over and smack him. You can't, I'm that Eric. It's okay. Protect him, right? I mean, you can't, his mom can't do anything wrong, right? Now, Eric from that little blonde-haired boy turned into somebody. Eric, as he went on, American baseball is our sport as a family. I played it in college and high school. Eric would be pretty good at it. In fact, Eric was one of the best high school players in all of the United States as a high school player. He made some national teams where they break the country into various regions, like 8 regions. He made that team twice as a junior and a senior. Only 2 guys in Utah did that. He was one of them. Got a scholarship to Brigham Young University where I went to school.
He was.
And also had the Washington Nationals and the Tampa Bay Rays hot on his trail to sign him to a pro contract. He was somebody, you know. Worked hard, did the things that he should do. And he was a teenager. He was a hot-blooded kid who made stupid mistakes sometimes. But that's part of the process. There's times I wanted to wring his neck. Now, there's times that I just wanted to hunt him down. Okay? But at his heart, at his core, he was strong. I mean, he could do things that most guys couldn't do. And I went to game after game and just saw him do some monumental things. He became the second all-time in the state of Utah strikeouts in high school history. Became arguably the best pitcher that's ever pitched at the high school level when you look at all of his statistics. Okay, in his junior and senior year, he did not lose a start as he won 20 straight wins. He couldn't be beat. There were people talking about Eric as the pitcher that you couldn't beat. And so he had a lot of things coming his way. His little brother Jeff is there on the left, and he's following suit with his big brother. And Jeff is now stepping into his own. His teammates call him the deliverer, because anytime he takes the mound, he brings it, and they have a chance to win. Okay, so these guys have learned how to go out there and shine. They've learned how to pay a price to work hard. Okay, because those are the things we demand in our family. Now, people might say, so you raised baseball players. My answer is no, I didn't raise baseball players. I raised leaders. Leaders. People that will rise up and do anything that they're capable of doing. And they prove it. This is my favorite picture, Eric. This is the state championship game. They rode him into the state championship as he just defeated everybody. They got to the state final. And his arm is hanging. He's only able to throw a few innings anyway because they have a limit on the mound innings. He can't hardly lift his arm. So they don't start him on the mound. They put him at first base. Well, coming up on the 5th inning, they're down 11-1 in the state tournament. And so they say, Eric, you have to take the mound because if we don't stop them from scoring, if we don't score a run in the next inning, the game's over. 5-run rule, 5-inning, 10-run rule, it'll be over instead of going 7 innings. So he takes the mound, and this picture was taken by the press. He's standing there, and they're looking at home plate. He's being asked to do the impossible because the team they're playing is the #1 team in the state. And these guys are killers. These guys smash the ball like you've never seen. And he's supposed to come in and stop them with an arm that's only half what it should be. He had heart. And he stopped it. And the next inning, Eric hit a ball to the warning track and scored a runner from third and set the game into 7 innings, which they eventually lost 14-10. But without him, they lose 12-1. That's hard. And it's not about winning. It's about what he's about. Eric died in a car accident a year and a half ago. March 24th, I think it was, a year ago, March 24th. And a head-on collision at Spanish Fort Canyon. Texting on his phone, he crossed the center line and hit a semi truck head on. Died instantly on the scene. Now, I know you think you have all the time in the world. I know you think you have it all planned out. You don't. And you may not do anything wrong. And stuff's going to happen. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I know what he'd do. He'd stand strong. He'd stand tall. He'd do what he needed to do. This was big news. This rocketed all around the United States, all around the new skin world too. Some of you guys already know the story. It was big news in the sports world, you know, because he made a name for himself. And I was flooded with calls, and I'm here to tell you, the love I felt from the new skin family was unbelievable. And they rallied. Nathan Ricks started an account at the company. Instead of sending flowers, we asked the distributors around the world to make donations and nourish the children. And because of what Eric's death and your efforts, we fed over 150,000 people upon his death. Now, that's a good start for a bad thing to do some good, right? His spirit was strong when he was here. It's even stronger now. It's what sustains me now. He's my best friend. Good. The largest paper in Utah showed up on our doorstep in May, Salt Lake Tribune, and they wanted to write an article about my son Jeff, and they wanted to talk about Eric's passing and what our family has done in the process of all that. And they showed up and they were there for 2.5 hours interviewing and taking videos and stuff. They put it all online. I mean, it's a big deal. This is on the front page of the entire paper, and then the sports section had this whole thing, and they talked about it. And they talked about how Jeff, my little one right here, this is Eric and that's Jeff, how he has stepped up and in spite of these odds and these obstacles, that he's continued to do what he needs to do. That he's not only become a good player, he's the #1 pitcher on his high school team. Okay? And that he's got goals to do some other things. And that Eric's spirit drives him still to this day. Okay, and so the point I'm making is this. The story is written because it's a story of hope. It's a story of love. Okay? It's a story of standing strong when opposition that you can't believe pushes hard on you. I've heard it said the worst thing in this world is to lose a child. And I believe him. I would rather have me again. In a heartbeat. This is Eric. Let's kind of play this video. People see him as this baseball player. This is him with his cousin. He'd rather hang out with little kids. That's how his heart is. You know? Let's play this. The sound isn't playing with that. It's pretty funny what takes place. But that's Eric at his core. That's who he is. You know, he always spent time with children in our family events because he knew that they were the ones that needed the attention. He was the big star. Everyone flocked to him. He was a celebrity. He couldn't walk down the street where we live with people that didn't know him. When he got in the accident and he died, the first trooper on the scene knew who he was. You know? The first person there knew who he was, and the word traveled like wildfire. But he didn't care about that. He was just Eric. He was an uncle to a nephew and a cousin. He was a son. He was these things, right? And he did what was necessary. It was about people. He was a rebel. You know, I used to get frustrated with Eric because he was a rebel. The status quo didn't fit for him. You know? He didn't like school because school tried to contain him. And I'd get frustrated, and then I'd think of myself and think, wait a minute. It didn't contain me either. I didn't want to be contained. Why would I expect him to? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You're a rebel. You know, I know that because you're here. The status quo doesn't work for you, or you'd stand in line with all the sheep. You'd do what the rest of them do, and you'd pay your 40 years' work, and then you'd take your gold watch and die, just like everyone else does. But that's not you. You want more, and that's why you're here. He wanted more. I wanted more. Right? And he was willing to do those things. And just because the fact he was so good at baseball was just a reflection of what he was inside here, in his heart. And because the things he did on the field were more about his intestinal fortitude than they were about his skill set. Yet his skill set came because he worked for it. But the things he did in clutch positions happened because of his heart, not because of his talent. The same happens with you and I. We will rise to the highest heights, or we will go to the lowest lows. We have to determine for ourselves what that's going to be. I don't know if you've ever read Invictus, but prior to Eric's death, he was working with a military guy who was teaching him some things. Teaching him mindset. He was putting him through some workout. He'd have Eric running ladders on a football field, and he made him memorize this. And Eric would yell this out while he's running those ladders. And it says this, it says, out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my incomparable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. That's true. You and I are the captains of our own souls. You and I are the masters of our own fate. Okay? Eric understood this. Why he was taken so young, I don't know. At age 19, I don't know. But I do know this. His spirit in death is serving more people on a global scale than he did in life. And in life, he was a presence. He had impact. He was hope for lots of people as he just blew them away with stuff he did on the field. Kids wanted to be like him. Other kids decided to start playing baseball. They didn't want to do it before. Coaches were amazed by him. He was someone. But in death, his spirit is stronger than he was a presence in life. And in life, he walked in the room and you knew he was there. He was a gold executive in New Skin, too. He'd walk in our team elite trainings in Provo, Utah, and I'd see him in the room, and all felt well. Because he was there. And you could feel him there. And people that knew his story flocked around me, right? But in death, he's felt everywhere. His spirit resonates. He was a warrior. That's him. If I can take a personality pick of my son, that's him. In the heat of battle in the state tournament, head held high, primal scream in the air, as he's dominating a team. In this particular game, he struck out 15 people. Had a no-hitter going into the 6th inning on one of the best teams in the entire state. Complete domination. Scouts were there from the pros, from college. I mean, it was amazing. And people were in awe. I had one mother come to me after the game because her son struck out for the 3rd time straight. One of the best players in the whole state. Struck out for the 3rd time, threw his bat into the backstop, and started yelling out the F word out of frustration. Eric just stood on the mound with a little smirk on his face because he knew that he owned him. The mother came up to me afterwards and she said, I want to apologize to you guys for my son's behavior. He has never done anything like that before, but he's never seen anything like that. And she pointed to Eric. That's him. He's someone. He's here now. His spirit resonates with me. It drives me. It keeps me standing tall and moving forward and having people come with me. It gives me vision. It gives me hope. It makes me realize that life is still good. Even though he's not with me in body, he's with me in spirit. And if you need something to motivate you, let that face be your motivation. It's a pretty nice looking face. Okay? And the presence was even greater. But he is with us now. He's always with me. I feel him daily. You don't control the cars. You don't control control the cards, but you do control how you respond to the cards you're dealt. You don't control the moves that are made on the chessboard, but you do respond how you respond to the moves that are made. Trust me, I know tragedy. I know heartbreak. And I know how you feel. But I also know exhilaration. And I also know what it feels like to own your own life. And I also know what it feels like to have spent so much time with him, that I spent more time in 19 years with that boy than most people will spend with their children if they live to be 80 years old. And the reason I could do that was because of the gift that this job, that this business was to me. It gave me the ability to go and be there for him. To go to these places, to go to some places where he's allowed to play in front of the best players in the whole country and shine, and I'm there to see it instead of hear about it. Or maybe we didn't have the money so we couldn't go. We did it. I'm thankful for that in the time that I've had with him. And now that his spirit is here and strong with me, I'm thankful for that gift as well. The future is bright. Your future is bright. Don't let anything stand in your way. But by all means, do not waste a moment. You don't know how many you've got left. So take advantage of what you've got left and go to the moon. Let's make it happen. Thank you.